Have you ever finished a woodworking project, looked at the final piece, felt proud of the craftsmanship, and then realized you barely made any money? Or worse, you actually lost money without even noticing. Because here's the uncomfortable truth that most woodworkers never hear early enough. The biggest thing holding you back is not your skill. It's your pricing. And I want to ask you something that might completely change how you look at your work. If you had to calculate exactly how much you made per hour on your last project, could you do it confidently? Or would you be guessing? Most woodworkers price their work based on what feels right. They look at competitors, scroll through Etsy, maybe check Facebook Marketplace, and then pick a number that seems reasonable. But here's the problem. Those numbers you're copying might already be wrong. In fact, recent trends in the handmade and small craft market in the United States show that a large percentage of independent makers are underpricing their work, often earning below minimum wage when you break down their actual time and costs. So let me ask you this. What if the price you think is fair is actually the exact reason you're not making money? Let's break this down, because this is where things start to get real. Imagine you build a simple wooden shelf. You spend money on wood, screws, sandpaper, maybe some finish. Let's say that costs you $40. Then you spend 5 hours building it. You list it for $120 and feel good about it. You think, I made $80 profit. But did you really? Or did you just ignore everything else that went into that piece? Here's the question most people avoid. What is your time actually worth? Not what you hope it's worth. Not what feels fair. What is the real number? Because if you worked 5 hours on that shelf and only made $80 before expenses you didn't even calculate, you might be paying yourself less than $10 an hour without realizing it. And that's before we even talk about tools, electricity, or mistakes. So here's where everything changes. Professional woodworkers don't guess their prices. They use a formula, a simple, repeatable system that ensures every single piece they sell is profitable. And the formula is this. Materials plus labor plus overhead plus profit margin equals your minimum price. Not your ideal price. Not your hopeful price. Your minimum. Now I want you to think about this. How different would your business look if every piece you built had a guaranteed profit built into it before you even started? Let's go deeper into the first part of the formula, because this is where most people think they're doing it right. Materials. You might already be tracking the cost of wood and hardware. But here's the question. Are you accounting for waste? Because in real projects, you never use 100% of the material you buy. There are offcuts, mistakes, defects, pieces you can't use. And if you're not including that in your cost, you're already underpricing. For example, if you buy $60 worth of lumber but only use about 80% of it effectively, your real material cost isn't $60. It's closer to $75 when you account for waste. That difference might seem small, but over time, it adds up. So let me ask you this. How many projects have you already sold where you absorbed that hidden cost without even realizing it? Now let's move to labor. And this is where things get uncomfortable for a lot of people. Because most woodworkers undervalue their time. They think, I'm still learning, or I enjoy this, so I don't need to charge that much. But here's the reality. If you want this to be sustainable, your time has to be treated like a real cost. So how do you calculate your hourly rate? Here's a simple way to think about it. Start with what you would realistically want to earn per year. Let's say $50,000. Then divide that by the number of working hours in a year, roughly 2,000. That gives you about $25 per hour. That's your baseline, not your dream rate. Your minimum sustainable rate. Now here's the question. If your current pricing means you're earning less than that per hour, what does that say about your business model? But it goes deeper than that. Because labor is not just the time you spend cutting and assembling. It includes design, planning, sourcing materials, sanding, finishing, even communication with customers. And here's where most people make a critical mistake. They only count the fun parts of the build. But every minute you spend on a project is part of the cost. So imagine that same shelf again. Instead of 5 hours, you realize it actually took you 8 hours when you include everything. At $25 per hour, your labor cost is now $200. Add your adjusted material cost of $75, and you're already at $275. And remember, we haven't even added overhead or profit yet. So now let me ask you something that might feel uncomfortable. If you sold that shelf for $120, how much money did you actually lose? This is the moment most woodworkers experience their first real shift. Because they realize they're not running a business. They're subsidizing a hobby with their own time. Now, let's talk about the part almost everyone ignores completely: overhead. And I want you to really think about this. How much does it cost just to keep your workshop running every month? We're talking about tools, maintenance, electricity, rent or walk space, clamps, blades, finishes, safety gear, even things like packaging and shipping supplies. And if you sell online, there are platform fees, transaction fees, maybe even marketing costs. All of that is real. All of that needs to be covered. But here's the question. Are you including any of that in your pricing right now? Or are you just hoping your sales somehow cover it? Professional makers calculate their monthly overhead and then distribute that cost across the number of pieces they produce. So if your total overhead is $1,000 per month and you produce 20 pieces, each piece needs to carry at least $50 of overhead just to break even. Now think about that shelf again. Add $50 of overhead to your $275, and now your cost is $325, and we still haven't added profit. So let me ask you this. At what point do you stop calling it profit and start calling it survival? Because here's the truth most people don't say out loud. If you're not building profit into your pricing, you don't have a business. You have a cycle that eventually burns you out. And this is where the final piece of the formula comes in. Profit margin. Not leftover money. Not whatever remains at the end. A planned, intentional percentage added on top of your costs. Most sustainable woodworking businesses aim for at least 20 to 30% profit margin. Why? Because it allows room for growth, mistakes, and reinvestment. It gives you breathing space. So now let's revisit that shelf one more time. Your total cost is $325. Add a 25% profit margin, and your minimum price becomes around $406. And here's the question that's probably in your mind right now. Who is going to pay $400 for a shelf? That question right there is where most people get stuck, because it forces you to confront something deeper than pricing. It forces you to think about value, positioning, and the kind of business you actually want to build. But here's something I want you to think about before we move on. Is the problem that the price is too high? Or is it that you've been targeting the wrong market this entire time? Because in the next part, we're going to apply this exact formula to real products. Break down what people are actually charging versus what they should be charging. And more importantly, we're going to talk about the psychology behind pricing. Why higher prices can actually increase demand, and how to position your work so customers don't compare it to mass-produced alternatives. And trust me, this is the part that changes everything. Now let's pick up right where that question left off, because this is the moment where most woodworkers either level up or stay stuck. If your true price is higher than what the average customer is paying on marketplaces, does that mean your work is overpriced? Or does it mean you've been competing in the wrong category all along? Let's make this real by applying the formula to actual products. Because theory is one thing, but numbers tell a different story. Imagine you're building a simple wooden shelf, something clean, functional, and well-crafted. Most people on platforms like Etsy or local marketplaces might list something like this for $80 to $150. And at first glance, that feels competitive. But now you know better. So let's run the numbers properly. Your materials, adjusted for waste, come out to around $70. Your total time, including design, prep, building, sanding, finishing, and listing, comes to about 6 hours. At a modest $25 per hour, that's $150 in labor. Your overhead allocation adds another $40. That brings your true cost to $260. Now add a 25% profit margin, and your minimum price lands around $325. So here's the uncomfortable question. If the market is full of shelves selling for $120, but your real price is $325, who's wrong? And the answer is not what most people expect. The market is not always a reflection of sustainable pricing. In many cases, it's a reflection of underpricing hobby sellers or people who are not accounting for their real costs. So when you try to compete there, you're stepping into a race to the bottom. Now let's take it a step further. A reclaimed wood coffee table. This is where things get even more interesting, because these pieces often have a higher perceived value. Let's say your material cost is $150, including reclaimed wood prep and finishing supplies. Your labor time is 12 hours, which at $25 per hour gives you $300. Overhead allocation is $80. Now your total cost is $530. Add a 25% margin, and your minimum price is around $660. But here's what you'll see online. Similar tables listed anywhere from $250 to $500. So again, the same question comes up. Are those sellers making a profit? Or are they unknowingly working for less than minimum wage? And more importantly, do you want to build a business that survives? Or one that slowly drains your time and energy? Now let's look at something smaller, like decorative wooden planters. These are often seen as quick builds, easy to produce and priced low to sell in volume. But watch what happens when you apply the formula. Materials might be $30. Labor, even for a small item, could easily be 2 hours when you include finishing and prep. So that's $50. Overhead adds another $20. Your cost is already at $100. Add a 25% margin, and your minimum price becomes $125. And yet, you'll see similar items selling for $40 or $50. So let me ask you this. How many of those sellers are actually making money after everything is accounted for? This is where the real shift happens. Because once you understand the formula, you can't unsee it. You start looking at prices differently. You stop asking, what are others charging? And start asking, what does this actually cost to produce sustainably? But now we need to address the biggest mental barrier of all. The fear of charging more. Because even if the numbers make sense, there's still that voice in your head saying, no one will pay that. And I want to challenge that directly. Why do people pay $5 for a mass-produced item and $50 for something handmade? Why do some customers choose a $2,000 dining table over a $500 one from a big box store? It's not just the product. It's perception, story, and positioning. Here's something backed by real consumer behavior trends in the US. When people buy handmade or custom items, they are not just buying function. They are buying uniqueness, craftsmanship, and identity. And price plays a role in that perception. Higher prices often signal higher quality, even before the customer fully understands the details. So let me ask you something important. If your price is too low, what message are you sending about your work? Because low pricing doesn't just reduce profit. It can actually reduce trust. It makes people question durability, quality, and craftsmanship. On the other hand, when your pricing aligns with the value you're offering, it attracts a completely different type of buyer. Someone who is not comparing you to mass-produced furniture, but to other premium, handcrafted work. And this is where positioning becomes critical. Instead of competing with factory-made products, you position your work as something different entirely. You highlight the materials, the process, the story behind each piece. You show the time, the detail, the care. You make it clear that this is not just furniture, it's craftsmanship. So here's the question that can redefine your entire business. Are you trying to sell to everyone, or are you trying to sell to the right people? Because when you try to appeal to everyone, price becomes your only advantage. But when you target the right audience, value becomes your advantage. Now let's bring everything together into something you can actually use. The formula is simple, but the impact is powerful. Materials, including waste. Labor, including all your time. Overhead, spread across your work. And a clear profit margin. That number is your floor. You never go below it. From there, your job is not to lower the price. Your job is to increase the perceived value. Better photos, better descriptions, better storytelling, better positioning. Because the right customer is not looking for the cheapest option. They are looking for the best fit. And I want to leave you with one final question that might stick with you long after this video ends. If you continue pricing your work the way you are right now, where will your business be a year from today? Will you be growing, reinvesting, and building something sustainable? Or will you still be busy, still working hard, but quietly losing money on every piece? Because the difference between those two outcomes is not talent. It's not luck. It's not even demand. It's pricing. If this changed the way you think about your work, share it with another maker who needs to hear it. And if you want to turn your craft into something that actually supports your life, not just consumes your time, make sure you stay with this channel. Because we're not just building projects here, we're building businesses that last.